Whenever you want to purchase a home, I advise buyers to get an approval letter from two or three lenders. Once you get an approval letter from a lender, they'll tell you your interest rate, what your payment will be. They'll tell you how much the taxes you can afford, how much HOA payment you can afford. And it's also good to find out how much uh, monthly payment the lender will approve. Don't just get a dollar amount, get a monthly payment amount because every property is different. Uh, every property has different taxes, different HOA, different requirements. So that's always good to get an approval letter from a lender that tells you both the monthly payment you'll be approved for and the uh, dollar amount that you'll be approved for. So then once you have your approval letter, you go look at homes and make offers. I always suggest buyers look at areas that have no HOA or low HOA if possible and no taxes. Uh, the taxes and the HOA have to be included in the monthly payment. And sometimes that taxes and HOA can be $500, $600 a month. And that's before you even touch any part of the house. So say, for example, if a property has $4,800 a year in taxes, that's 4,800 divided by 12. That's $400 a year. $400 a month. They have to go towards the taxes, and that's before uh, anything goes towards the house. So those are things to consider whenever you're picking out a house. Some of my favorite areas that have low taxes and low HOA include like Temple Terrace or Sefner, if you're in the Tampa area. Um, you can also go to Lutz. They have no HOA, low taxes there. In some areas, they pass laws so that they're going to keep the taxes low. Like, for example, Temple Terrace. They have really low taxes over there. I've seen taxes in the surrounding communities be $4,000 or $5,000. In Temple Terrace, they have taxes of $1,000. $2,000 a year. It's pretty inexpensive relative to other areas in Tampa. Um, some other things to consider whenever you're looking at a home is the square footage and the price per square foot. Uh, the appraiser is going to go by the price per square foot usually. Uh, the price per square foot can be, make sure that is in line with the surrounding properties because the appraiser can come in and chop the deal uh, and make it impossible for the buyer to close. If the appraiser comes in and reduces the value uh, under the contract, then the buyer's going to have a problem. The buyer's going to have to go back to the seller and ask the seller to reduce the price to the appraised value, or they'll have to go to another house. And so that's just some things to consider whenever you want to close on a beautiful home. Again, purchasing a home is a benefit you're entitled to as a citizen of this country. We have FHA set up. FHA stands for Federal Housing Administration. It allows the buyer to put 3.5% down of the purchase price. So let's say for a $100,000 home, it'll be $3,500 down. For a $200,000 home, it'll be $7,000 down, and the seller can contribute up to 6% of the purchase price towards the buyer's closing costs. So FHA loan usually is the easiest program for buyers to close with. FHA loans, they take repossessions. You got a previous foreclosure as long as it's within 2 or 3 years ago. Um, FHA loans, you can have an eviction as long as it was like a one-time housing incident, as long as it was a long time ago. Um, just some things to consider whenever you want to close on a home. But the FHA loan does require that monthly mortgage insurance every month, and that could be that PMI, and that PMI cost can make the loan expensive for some buyers. So anyway, try to get an approval letter for 2 or 3 different lenders for 2 or 3 different programs. You can go with an FHA loan, go with a Fannie Mae loan. You know what I'm saying? Ask the lender what's the maximum I can get approved for. And then once you have an approval letter, you go look at homes and make offers and see if the seller accepts the offer and agree to schedule closing. I always tell buyers it's good to look at homes during the week if possible, because during the week it's less competition. Uh, there may only be one or two people coming by and look at it during the week, but on the weekend, it's a lot of people. So um, sometimes there's a window of time to get that offer in if it's going to be a multiple offer situation. So purchasing a home is the American dream. Once you have a home, it's great to sit back. You can don't have to worry about neighbors coming by or parking place. Having your own parking spot. It's all type of benefits that come with home. Owning your own home. You can take the equity out and start a business. You can take equity out and buy a car. Um, it's all type of ways you can have your home purchase pay off. Now, once you have an approval letter, you go look at homes and make offers. Once the seller accepts the offer, then you go into the second phase of the home buying process. You got to close on the house. So with that part, you make your good faith deposit at the title company, and that's where the closing is going to be. Once you make that good faith deposit at the title company, the seller knows that you're serious. Everybody knows it's a serious deal. The title company starts taking you serious. Uh, so you make your good faith deposit at the title company, and then after that, you schedule your inspection. Now, there's different type of inspections. Um, I started out selling homes, like helping people with disability and child support buy a house. So I try to help buyers close with the minimum amount. Uh, I've helped people close with like $1,500 or less to buy a house, but they had good credit though. So if you have good credit, you can have minimal expenses. But if you have bad credit, you may have to use a different type of loan, like FHA loan, to put money down. But if you're going to use like a down payment assistance program or USDA no money down loan, a buyer can close maybe on those loans, invest in $1,500 or less, as long as you have good credit. So once you make your good faith deposit at the title company, the buyer will schedule an inspection. And there's different type of inspections you can have. Like I said, I try to have my costs low. Now, the main inspections you're going to need, in my opinion, are the 4-point inspection. And the 4-point inspection covers the roof, the AC, the plumbing, and the electrical. Those are the main areas that I think a buyer needs to have inspected. Now, that kind of inspection only costs like $200 or less. Now, if you want to get these other type of inspections, like whole house inspections and all these other names that they have, you can get up to $500, $600, $700, $800, $900, for inspections. It depends on which person you call and what type of inspection you want to do. But the main ones I advise are the ones that the insurance companies will give the discount for. And depending on the age of the house, in my opinion, the main inspections you need are inspect the roof, the plumbing, the AC, and the electrical. Um, Everything else can kind of be taken care of, but there's other type of inspections that you can get also. So once you finish your inspection period, well, inspection period, that's another point. Now, whenever you want to close on a home, there's two different type of contracts you can use. You can use the as-is contract, which is good for buyers, or you can use the Chris 15 contract, which is good for the sellers. Now, all the horror stories you hear about buying a house usually have to do with a buyer trying to use the listing agent to buy their house. The listing agent, by law, represents the seller. They have to keep the seller's best interest at the top priority. It's good for the buyer to have their own agent, the buyer's agent, that's going to work on behalf of the buyer and explain the buyer's position to the lender, to the seller, to everybody, help the buyer close. You have some listing agents that specialize in taking good faith deposits. They'll try to get good faith deposit, $5,000 good faith deposit. I try to help my buyers close with minimum good faith deposit, just enough to let the seller know that they're serious. And we keep trying to move the deal forward. So That's one thing to consider. So there's two different contracts that you can use to close on a home. You can use the Chris 15, that's the one for the sellers, or you can use the FAR bar as is. That's the contract that's beneficial for the buyers. Now, the FAR bar as is that's beneficial for the buyers, that allows the buyer to cancel and get their good faith deposit back and get their money back and start over and all that kind of stuff. But the other one locks the buyer in and makes it hard for the buyer to get their good faith deposit back and quit. And the buyer cannot quit. You know what I'm saying? You almost going to lose your good faith deposit if you don't close on the house if you use the contract that's beneficial for the sellers. In my opinion, that's how buyers should try to structure their deal to their best interest. Okay, so once you schedule your inspection, you next phase in the home buying process is the appraisal. Okay, so the lender is going to send out an appraiser to determine the value of the property, and this is where it can get choppy. This is where some appraisers will make sure that the buyer's agent, that the buyer has an agent that's going to help them close the deal. Because sometimes the appraiser will come back with a whole bunch of repairs that need to be taken care of. Okay, and sometimes the appraiser will chop the value of the house. Say, no, this house is not worth. We're going to say this house is worth $10,000 less. Sometimes it's all type of situations that sometimes the appraiser will make sure that the buyer has a buyer's agent on their side that's going to help them work through the issues. Another thing to consider also is that with different type of loans, there's different type of appraisal issues that have to be addressed. Like, for example, with a VA loan, there has to be a wood destroying organism test, and the buyer cannot pay for it. So the seller has to agree to pay for, or the agent or someone other than the buyer for a VA loan has to agree to pay for a wood destroying organism test. And there must be no evidence of wood destroying organism, and if there is, it must be treated and taken care of. And so that's one thing to consider. That different loans have different criteria in order for the appraiser to sign off on the appraisal so it can close. Okay, so with that in mind, once you finish the appraisal, there's also going to be like a survey taken of the property. They're going to look at the boundaries, make sure there's no encroachments, there's no fences over on your side and stuff like that. So once you finish your inspection, you finish the appraisal, you get your pre-approval letter, and then you'll go back into underwriting one more time before your final what's called clear to close. Clear to close is what you want to hear from everyone that's involved in your deal. You want to hear that from the processor, from the loan officer. You're clear to close, and then everybody goes to the title company, and then they sign all the papers, and then that's your house. So just to reiterate, just to recap, purchasing a home is a benefit you're entitled to. I'm Robert Leonard. I'm a realtor. I've closed more homes than help buyers close more homes than you can count on your hands. And it's very easy to close on a home if you talk to the right people. Main thing is you must talk to the right people, because if you talk to the wrong people, some people, they're very negative. They'll tell you the most negative thing they can think of and make you almost want to cry. It's good to talk to a professional buyer's agent that's handled many situations. And once you talk to a lender, a buyer's agent, I'm going to send you towards a lender that's going to give you a pre-approval letter. Oh yeah, talking about pre-approval letters. Sometimes those are issues also. I like to work with what's called a direct lender with no overlays. A direct lender with no overlays usually has less requirements than some of the local organizations that you find around. A direct lender, I'll be honest with you, what I did is I went to the FHA in the Hood website and I see who's what's called a direct endorsement lender. And I try to go directly to them to see who can get my buyers approved because they are easier to work with sometimes. It seems like I've had loan officers say, I can go right to this underwriter right upstairs and get this buyer approved. That type of stuff instead of uh, a loan officer that has to send it off and go, send the deal off way far away and wait 24 to 48 hours before they hear anything back. That's just what's worked best for me. I can't, speak for anybody else, but I try to help as many buyers as I can. And of course, if you look on Realtor.com, you'll see over 10 homes that I personally help buyers receive. Actually, it's probably close to 20 now. Um, and purchasing a home is a benefit you're entitled to. All you have to do is get an approval letter from a lender. What a lender will need is your last 2 pay stubs, the last 2 years W-2 and tax returns, and your last 2 months bank statements. Once you have those, you give those to the lender. The lender will type it into a system. They have a computerized system that calculates debt to income ratio and the credit score and all that kind of stuff. And once you have that, you get your pre-approval letter and go look at homes. Now, regarding pre-approval letters, I've learned to ask lenders to do specific things in the course of that pre-approval letter, so it's a real pre-approval. You can start asking for, verification of rent. I want my verification of rent done up front. no, um, you should also ask for, my debt to income calculation to be calculated and measured if possible. Um, 941, my cell phone number again is 941-400-2833. That's 941-400-2833. I'm Robert Leonard. I'm here in my office right here in Future Home Realty. I have 5 offices throughout the Tampa Bay area. I've got one in Newport Richey, one in Seminole, Florida, one in Linebaugh Avenue. This one here is in the New Tampa area. We've got, multiple offices and several ways to help buyers get approved and close on a home. I've lived in the New Tampa area over 10 years, me and my wife, and we'd love to help you move forward with receiving a home. If you have any questions or concerns, give me a call back. And in the meantime, thanks for your time, everyone. Have a great day.